9/11 happened, it just shook this world, as you know.
Yes,
So we
the
all
whole
remember where we were and what it did to our...
9/11 was like another COVID.
Literally.
It just shook the whole world.
It shook the whole world.
In the security area.
Absolutely. So I looked at it and I saw, you know, we all remember where we were when the Twin Towers fell. And I looked at it and I said, who in the world would do this? And as time progressed, we found out what it was. And I was like, I said, you know, there's Muslim people that did this. I said, that's not the culture that I was brought up on. That's not the people that I've known before. So I said, what can I do to help? To nab these bad apples out of our society, out of our culture.
Right.
And so I started looking. I said, I've always loved the Marines. I grew up around Marines when my dad was in the embassy. I used to see them, how sharp and disciplined they were. So it was either the Marines or law enforcement, you know, try to see how we can help serve this country, you know, give back to the country that gave me all this opportunity where I was just a little boy in Saudi, you know, picking up soccer balls in the dirt. So I started applying. I said, I'll see. I said, I don't have all the experiences that they need, but I can offer something with my language, with my background and our culture. So I started applying at several police departments. And I got accepted by several of them at the same exact time. So there's a whole process that goes through.
Right.
You have to go through the basic information, basic training to become a law enforcement officer. There's an athletic part of it. There's a physical part of it. There's also an academic part of it. So I was going through all that. Then there's also the background, the psychological evaluation, and the polygraph, and so on. So it was a whole series of tests that go on for almost a year.
And then being Muslim and 9/11, you got all of that to deal with.
It was, you know, to be honest with you, when the professional looked at me as a candidate, they saw that as an opportunity to see how we can utilize this young man to better understand the community. Because a lot of people back in 2001 did not understand too much about the Muslim community.
Definitely.
They didn't know how to, they understand a little bit about the culture. All they knew was is the Arabs. They have oil, and that was it. You know, there wasn't a lot of, unless you actually deal with the State Department level where you're dealing with multiple countries, that's when you have an understanding of what other cultures are, but not at the community level. So you cannot.
The media had so many different perspectives that people believed and understood what they heard and what they know from the movies, but it was a conflict, a total conflict of understanding.
Sure, and so I got afforded the opportunity of accepting my application in several police departments. City of Miami had contacted me, so did the Miami-Dade Police Department, and the Broward Sheriff's Office also contacted me. The Broward Sheriff's Office, I visited their center several times at the main headquarters, and I was like, wow, so professional. It was a very diverse group back in the day. And I felt like I was home. You know, something clicks when you go somewhere, and they're very professional about things. So the first one that says, if Allah gives me this opportunity, so whoever that calls me first and gives me the offer, I'm not going to deny that just because if it's for my benefit. So Broward Sheriff's Office contacted me and said, hey, we're going to give you a conditional offer for this position. And I looked at it and I said, I can't believe I'm holding this. And I said, okay, you know what? I did not even look at the pay or nothing like that. I said, I'm taking it. Yes, I consider it that I'm accepting the offer. So I went in and I had to give my notice from my previous employer, and I looked at it and I'm like, wow, I'm going to be making $40,000 less than what I was making. So I sacrificed that. I said, you know what? If this is meant to me, this was dropped for me for a reason, and if I can provide additional service to the community, let me do it. So I proceeded. I started going to the academy, finished the academy, and started working at Road Patrol in Tamarack. So that's how I started my law enforcement career. So I was in Road Patrol at the time, and I was filling my patrol car one time, and one of these sergeants come up and he goes, hey, you're that new guy that speaks Arabic, right? It's like, wow. I said, yes, sir. And it's a paramilitary organization, so there's a lot of respect for rank and tenure and whatnot. So you're always respectful. And he goes, yes, sir, I am. He goes, what are you doing here on the road? I said, sir, I'm working. I just finished probation at the time, or I was getting close to probation. He goes, listen, I may need your help on some of the things we're working. So he contacted me a few days later and got me involved in several undercover operations. At the time, understanding, interpreting, and dealing with different cultures in the community. So I was working days at Road Patrol, and at nights I would work undercover operations and throughout the county. And
Fantastic experience.
it was. And I had a great group of guys that I worked with in Tamarack on road patrol. And tragically thereafter, a few years on the road, still working, I was very intrigued about the detective position and how, we find out the real criminals and how you go after people that are the real bad apples.
And that's very interesting because it's brainstorming, it's a lot of clicking and thinking and thinking.
Absolutely. And it's not a lot of the Hollywood stuff that we talked about. It's not kicking doors and all that. That comes in way farther down the line before you actually build a case. So I had an opportunity to really gravitate towards that. I'm like, this is where I can, serve better. And tragically, in 2007, I can remember
Just to cut you a little bit, I know I'm going to put you on a pause. So having that detective kind of mindset and, searching and thinking, which takes a whole different kind of mentality and mindset to have that ability. I know I'm going to cut you here a little bit, but
sure.
With that kind of background and that kind of experience, just to jump ship a little bit, what kind of opportunities did you have in your career now, whenever it was, in meeting some of the higher level political people of the United States of America?
Sure.
And I mean from Congress, senators, presidents, whatever.
Very, very blessed. And right around the time when I was in road patrol and I was exposed to the detective side of the house, and I realized there's a whole slew of things that the Bureau does, the Detective Bureau does, ranging from homicides to counterterrorism operations to robbery and so on and so forth. So I took that opportunity. I'm like, this is the career I want to go into. I said, let me divulge into it. Whenever I committed to something, I followed through all the way with it. And tragically, at the end of, I remember this as of, just it was like yesterday, in November 2006, my partner that I work with was shot and killed in the line of duty.
In front of you?
In Tamarack, yeah. And my other zone partner was a dear friend of mine. He was also shot. So I was one of the first ones on scene and saw him, bleed to death. And it was very tragic at the time. And it brought a lot of humbleness of what this noble career is all about. This man laid his life on the line to save the society from harmful people. And I said, I'm going to get these people. I'm going to find out how to go about getting these people. And that's why it intrigued me more to go into the Detective Bureau. And then right after the time, I got transferred to the Detective Bureau, and I worked for the Office of Homeland Security at the time.
That's so you end up in Homeland Security.
Correct, sir. So I ended up working in the counterterrorism unit for the Broward Sheriff's Office. And then that's what I was exposed to, working with the FBI and Department of Homeland Security and the United States Secret Service. So BSO, the Broward Sheriff's Office, gave me the opportunity to go to the best of the best schools. I went to all the best schools that FLETC had to offer. I went to the best schools that the Bureau had to offer. And I was doing classes and teaching them about the culture for the new agents that would come on board to the FBI. And that was making a difference, because most of these folks were right out of college, or people that would come to the Detective Bureau would be right out of academia and not understand